The Amish do not get foggy. That is the first thing you notice when you spend time around their elders. 85, 90, 93 years old. And they are still there, still quick, still present, still telling you exactly what happened on a Tuesday in 1974 with details you would struggle to remember about last week. By the end of this video, you will know the 11 foods they eat that the rest of us abandoned, and you will understand why we abandoned them. It was not an accident, but, and this is the part that should make you uncomfortable, the foods that disappeared from our tables were not replaced by something better. They were replaced by something easier to sell. Number 1 on this list is the food that every family ate before 1960 and almost nobody touches today. Number 6 will surprise you because you think you already know it. You do not. And number 4 is made from parts of the animal that would make most modern shoppers walk the other way. 11 foods, all forgotten, all still on every Amish table. Let us go. Number 11, pickled eggs and beets. You know those big glass jars you sometimes see in old general stores? The ones sitting on the counter by the register, filled with something purple that looks vaguely like eggs, but also vaguely like something from a science experiment? That is pickled eggs and beets. And they taste better than they look. Which, honestly, is not hard, because they look terrible. Hard-boiled eggs, sliced beets, vinegar, sugar, a few whole cloves. Everything goes into a jar and sits for 3 days minimum. The vinegar and beet juice seep into the eggs, turning them a deep, startling purple all the way through. The taste is sharp, sweet, tangy, and dense. All at once, nothing subtle about it. Every Amish general store has a jar. Every Amish kitchen keeps a batch going. The eggs last for weeks in the icebox. They are portable. You can take one to the field wrapped in a cloth. They are filling. 1 egg and a slice of beet is a mid-morning meal that holds you until dinner. And they cost almost nothing because eggs come from the coop and beets come from the garden, and vinegar is made at home from last year's apples. The rest of the world stopped making these sometime in the 70s. Just stopped. No reason, no replacement, just gone. Number 10, apple cider vinegar tonic. 1 tablespoon, warm water every morning, before food, before coffee, before anything. That is the Amish morning ritual that most people have heard of, but almost nobody actually does. And the ones who do, the people who buy the filtered, pasteurized clear vinegar from the grocery store, are doing it wrong. But we will get to that in a moment. The Amish make their own vinegar, from their own apples, pressed in their own cider presses, left to ferment in crocks in the cellar for months. What comes out is cloudy, sharp, alive. With the mother still floating in it, that murky strand at the bottom that looks like something went wrong, but actually means everything went right. A tablespoon of that in a cup of warm water. Every morning, 40 years, 50 years. The women who do this do not explain why. They do not cite anything. They just say their mothers did it and their mothers before them, and that seems to be enough. It settles everything, one woman said. Settles what? Everything. I could not get more than that. And I stopped asking. Because, and I think this is important, sometimes the explanation is less valuable than the 200 years of repetition behind it. Number 9. Dandelion greens with hot bacon dressing. Every spring, the yards fill with dandelions. Every spring, the neighbors spray poison on them. Every spring, the Amish walk outside with a paring knife and a basket and come back with dinner. The leaves, young ones picked before the flower opens, before the sun turns them bitter, go into a bowl. Then comes the dressing, and this, not the greens, is the part nobody remembers anymore. Bacon, diced and fried until crisp. The fat left in the pan. A splash of vinegar poured into that hot fat. It spits, it sizzles, it smells like something between a salad and a smokehouse. A pinch of sugar to balance. Poured hot immediately over the raw greens. They wilt, they soften, they absorb the smoke and the acid and the fat, and they become something that no bagged salad from a refrigerated shelf has ever been. Alive. This is a classic preparation. Old, older than any cookbook. The kind of thing that was common on every table in every farming community before the grocery store decided that salad should come in a plastic bag and cost $4 and taste like nothing. The dandelion did not disappear. It is still growing in your yard right now. What disappeared was the willingness to bend down and pick it. Number 8. Steel-cut oats with blackstrap molasses. Not instant oats, not rolled oats. Not the kind that comes in a packet with a cartoon character and enough sugar to qualify as dessert. Steel-cut oats, the kind that look like tiny pebbles, take 30 to 40 minutes on the stove. and require actual patience to prepare. The Amish cook them on the wood-burning stove. Low heat, long time, stirring occasionally. The kitchen fills with a smell that is, I am not sure how to describe this. Warm? Grain-like? Like standing in a barn after the hay has been cut? Something like that. Something that does not exist in a microwave. When the oats are thick and creamy, a tablespoon of blackstrap molasses goes on top. Not maple syrup, not honey. Blackstrap? The dark, bitter, almost metallic molasses that is the very last extraction of the sugar-making process. The part nobody in the sugar industry wants. The bottom of the barrel, literally. The combination of slow oats and dark molasses was the breakfast that sustained a full day of physical labor. 12 hours. Hauling, lifting, walking, bending. Men and women who ate this at 6 in the morning did not eat again until noon, and they worked the entire time without slowing down. Not because they were superhuman, because the fuel was real, dense, slow burning, the kind of fuel that a box of cereal with skim milk has never provided and never will. If this sounds like I am being harsh on modern breakfast, good, I am. Hit subscribe if you are still with me. Because the next 7 foods on this list are the ones that disappeared for a reason, and the reason is not what you think. Leave a comment telling me what your grandparents ate for breakfast. I want to know if anyone else remembers the molasses. Number 7. Raw buttermilk. This does not exist anymore. Not really. What the grocery store calls buttermilk is a manufactured product. Regular milk with cultures added to thicken it and give it a tangy flavor. It is fine. It works for baking. But it is not buttermilk. Not the real thing. Real buttermilk, the liquid left behind after churning cream into butter, is thin, slightly sour, and alive in a way that no store-bought product can replicate. It was a byproduct. Nobody made buttermilk on purpose. You made butter and buttermilk happened. And then you drank it because throwing away food was not something that occurred to anyone before 1950. The Amish still churn their own butter, which means the Amish still have real buttermilk every week, fresh. A glass of it after morning chores, cold from the icebox, sharp on the tongue, thinner than you expect and more satisfying than you would believe. It disappeared when butter making moved to factories. The factories kept the butter. The buttermilk became a waste product with no market. So they invented a replacement, cultured buttermilk, and sold that instead. And within a generation, nobody remembered what the real thing tasted like. The replacement became the original in everyone's memory. That switch, real thing replaced by imitation, imitation remembered as original, is the quiet story behind almost everything on this list. Number 6. Sauerkraut. Real sauerkraut. You think you know sauerkraut? You do not. What you know is the soft, vinegar-soaked, pasteurized product that comes in a can or a jar and tastes mostly like salt and regret. That is not sauerkraut. That is what happened to sauerkraut after the food industry got its hands on it. Real sauerkraut, the kind the Amish still make, uses 2 ingredients: cabbage, salt. That is it. Shredded cabbage, packed tight into a stoneware crock with salt, pressed down until the juices rise and cover the cabbage, then left alone. For weeks. In the cellar, in the dark, doing what it does without any intervention, any checking, any interference. What comes out after 4 to 6 weeks is something completely different from the canned version. Sharp, bright, crunchy, still crunchy, which surprises people, and alive, teeming with the kind of natural cultures that the modern food industry spends millions trying to replicate in pill form and sell for $30 a bottle. Every Amish household has a crock. Many have had the same crock for generations. Heavy, brown, with a water-sealed lid that their great-grandmother used. The crock is the appliance. The only appliance. No electricity, no refrigeration, no processing. Just cabbage, salt, thyme, and a crock that has been doing the same job since before anyone in the family was born. The modern version killed the real version, and then it marketed a pill to replace what the real version had been providing all along. The absurdity of that, the loop, is almost too neat to be an accident. Here is the truth about every food on this list, and I want to say it plainly because nobody else will. These foods did not disappear because people stopped liking them. They disappeared because the food industry could not make money from them. You cannot patent a cabbage crock. You cannot trademark a dandelion. You cannot build a subscription model around a tablespoon of vinegar and a cup of warm water. The profit margin on a jar of pickled eggs is pennies. The profit margin on a bottle of capsules that claims to do what pickled eggs already do? Dollars. Many dollars. The Amish never entered that economy. They never listened to the advertisement. They never switched from the thing that worked to the thing that was sold. And their tables, right now, today, look almost identical to the tables of their great-grandparents. Same foods, same preparations, same results. The rest of us changed everything. And then we wondered why everything felt different. If this is landing, if this is making you rethink what you have been putting on your table, share this video, not for me, for whoever you know who has been buying the replacement when the original was in their kitchen all along. The last 5 foods are the ones most people push back on. They are uncomfortable. They involve animal parts that the modern world has decided are disgusting. Number 4 is made from scraps. Number 2 is spread on bread like butter. And number 1, the most rejected food on this entire list, is the one the Amish eat every single week without fail. Number 5, rendered lard. Every pie crust your grandmother made, every biscuit, every fried egg, every cornbread. Lard. Pure pork fat, rendered slowly from the back fat of the pig, strained and stored in a jar by the stove. And then, in the 1960s, the vegetable oil companies launched a campaign to convince the entire country that animal fat was the enemy and their product was the future. It worked. Within a decade, lard vanished from kitchens that had used it for 200 years, replaced by Crisco, by corn oil, by soybean oil, by canola. All industrial, all processed, all shelf-stable in a way that lard never was. The Amish did not switch. They render their own lard every autumn on hog butchering day. The same day, the same way, the same families gathered before dawn to process the pigs they raised all year. The lard goes into jars. The jars go in the cellar, and every meal for the next 12 months is cooked in it. I am not going to tell you that lard is good or bad. I am going to tell you that the people who never stopped using it are still cooking, still eating, still working, and still clear at ages that would surprise you. And the people who replaced it with industrial oils are, well, they are buying bottles. Number 4, scrapple. The name alone stops most people. Scrapple. It sounds like something you would feed a dog, and the ingredient list, if you can call it that, does not help. Pork scraps. The head, the heart, the liver, the tongue, anything left after the good cuts are taken. All of it simmered in a pot until tender, then chopped fine or ground, mixed with cornmeal and buckwheat flour, poured into a loaf pan and cooled until firm. Then sliced thin. Then fried in. What else? Tight lard. Until the outside is crisp and golden, and the inside is soft and savory, and the whole kitchen smells like a farmhouse morning. That existed before the word brunch was invented. This is the Pennsylvania Dutch breakfast that built the communities that became the backbone of the eastern farmland. Workers ate this at 5 in the morning, 2 slices of scrapple and a cup of coffee, and you did not think about food again until the sun was directly overhead. It held you, not because of one ingredient, because of all of them, every part of the animal combined. Will most people make this? No. Will most people even try it? Probably not. But the people who eat it every week have been eating it for 2 centuries. And they are fine. Better than fine. Still sharp, still present, still getting up before the sun. That should count for something. Number 3, oxtail soup. The cheapest cut in the butcher case used to be the tail. It was ugly, bony, full of cartilage, and nobody wanted it. The Amish wanted it. The Amish always wanted it. Oxtail simmered for hours with root vegetables, turnips, parsnips, carrots, celery root, an onion, in one pot until the meat fell off the vertebrae and the cartilage melted into the broth, and the kitchen smelled like something ancient, like a smell that had been in that room before you were born and would be there after you were gone. This was not a broth. This was a full meal, served in deep bowls with the meat and the vegetables and the thick, dark, gelatinous broth all together. A spoon and a piece of bread. That was dinner. And it cost almost nothing because the tail was the cheapest thing in the store. Now, and this is worth noting, oxtail is expensive. Trendy restaurants discovered it. Food writers wrote about it. The price tripled. The cut that poor families relied on for generations became a luxury item that the people who needed it most could no longer afford. The Amish, who raise their own cattle, are not affected. They still have the tail. They always had the tail. The rest of us are watching the price tag go up on something that used to be nearly free. Number 2. Bone marrow on bread. Here is where most people check out. And that is exactly why this needs to be here. Marrow bones, thick, heavy, cut into cross sections, roasted in the oven until the marrow inside turns soft and golden and begins to bubble. Then you take a knife, scrape the marrow out of the center of the bone, and spread it on a piece of warm bread the way you would spread butter. That is breakfast in an Amish farmhouse, or a mid-afternoon restoration after 4 hours in the field, or a simple supper when the day has taken everything out of you and you need something that puts it back. Marrow on bread, the richest, most concentrated substance the animal has to offer, eaten on the simplest vehicle imaginable. Before 1950, this was normal. Families roasted marrow bones the way we roast a chicken, without thinking, without ceremony, without considering whether it was unusual. It was food, dense, warming, filling food that the body seemed to recognize the way it recognizes sleep or sunlight, not intellectually, but instinctually. Something inside you knew you needed it before your mind caught up. Then it stopped. Somewhere in the post-war years, marrow became strange, off-putting, something from the old country that the new country did not want to carry forward. And within a generation, the most concentrated food a kitchen could produce was forgotten. The Amish never forgot. They roast marrow bones the same way they always have. And they eat the marrow the same way, on bread with a pinch of salt, sitting at a table where everyone is present and nobody is in a hurry. If you have made it this far, subscribe, hit the bell. You are the kind of person this channel exists for, and tell me in the comments, have you ever eaten marrow? Because the reaction people have the first time is always the same. Surprise. Then silence. Then a second piece of bread. Number 1. Liver and onions. This is the most rejected food in the modern world. The most refused, the most avoided. If you go to a grocery store right now, today, the liver is the last thing that sells. It sits in the case longer than any other cut. It gets marked down more than any other cut. And more often than not, it gets thrown away. The Amish eat it every week. Every week. Beef liver, sliced thin. Onions, sliced thick. Fried together in lard in a cast iron skillet until the liver is just cooked through. Not tough, not rubbery, just past pink. And the onions are caramelized and sweet and piled on top. Served with mashed potatoes or bread. A full meal that costs less than $2 and delivers, I have to be careful how I say this, the densest, most concentrated nourishment that any single food can provide. More than any vegetable, more than any fruit, more than any pill in any bottle on any shelf. That is not an opinion. That is the reason every grandmother, every great-grandmother, every farm wife for the last 200 years made it. Because they could see the results. The person who ate liver regularly had color in their face. They had energy. They had the kind of steady, quiet vitality that did not spike and crash the way sugar-fueled energy does. It just held. All day, day after day. And here is what nobody will say. The Amish elders, the ones who are 92 and still remember the name of every horse they ever owned, still recall conversations from 60 years ago, still sharp, still clear, still entirely themselves. Eat liver. Weekly. They have eaten it their entire lives. Their mothers ate it, their grandmothers ate it. It is as fundamental to their table as bread. The rest of us stopped eating it because it tastes strong, because it looks dark, because the texture is unfamiliar, because the modern palate has been trained to prefer things that are mild and sweet and unchallenging. And in stopping, we gave up the single most nourishing food the kitchen has ever produced and replaced it with nothing. Not with something else. With nothing. We simply stopped and pretended the gap did not matter. The Amish did not stop. And the gap, their gap, does not exist. 11 foods, all of them old, all of them simple, all of them sitting on Amish tables right now today, the same way they sat there 50 years ago and 100 years ago and 200 years ago. Liver, marrow, oxtail, scrapple, lard, sauerkraut, buttermilk, vinegar, oats, dandelion greens, pickled eggs. None of them are expensive. None of them are complicated. None of them require a subscription or a membership or a special order from a special store. Most of them are cheaper than the processed food that replaced them. And all of them, every single one, were abandoned not because they failed, but because nobody could build a business around a cabbage crock and a jar of lard. The Amish were never part of that decision. They were never in the meeting where someone said, "We can sell something better." They just kept eating what they had always eaten, cooking the way they had always cooked, and living clear, sharp, strong, present, past the age when most people have long since started to fade. Make one of these this week. The vinegar tonic if you want to start easy, the oats with molasses if you want to change your morning, the sauerkraut if you want something that works on its own without you doing anything except waiting. And if you are brave, really brave, buy a piece of liver. Slice it thin, fry it with onions in a hot skillet. Sit down at the table, eat it slow, and know that you are eating the same meal that has kept Amish elders sharp and clear and fully themselves for longer than anyone thought possible. Subscribe. Share this. And remember, these foods did not fail us. We failed them. The Amish just never made that mistake.